All right, comienza a grabar. All right, thank you so much for coming and sharing, well, your food, but more than your food, you're sharing your culture. That's just like profound. And you invited your mom along to yell at you if you do a bad job. No, just like, thank you so much. I went shopping and I failed to get the cheese to go in here, which it wasn't actually hard to get most of the ingredients, but for some reason I was just like, I'll just wait to get the cheese because I went shopping like 3 days ago and then didn't get it. But the main thing was not just regular cornmeal. You really want to get that pre-cooked cornmeal, which what's the difference, do you know, between cornmeal and pre-cooked? I think this is made from hominy that they dried instead of just straight ground cornmeal.
Right. I think you're right. I'm not really sure, but I think that.
Oh, look, it says on the bottom here, perfect for arepas, empanadas, and then halacas. I don't know.
I don't know that one. This one is another brand that I found. And it does says, at the bottom, tortillas, tamales, pupusas, atoles, empanadas, gorditas, y sopes, which are, I know that the sopes are similar to the arepas too in Mexico.
Well, this is masa, right? Basically masa, they call it masa, do they not?
Masa flour?
I don't know.
Cornmeal, and just like pre-cooked cornmeal, I guess, because I realized that there is another masa that is not pre-cooked, and I even tried to make arepas with it and it just wouldn't.
Yeah, so that's more like cornmeal, corn flour. So
yeah.
Do you know the difference between pupusas and arepas?
Pupusas?
Yeah.
Pupusas is, I think they're thinner and they're just from, is it Honduras, I think?
Okay, so just from a different country. So
yes,
this is from Colombia.
This is, yeah, what I'm gonna make is from Colombia, is what I grew up, eating in Cartagena. I'm from Cartagena. They talk about, if you go on Wikipedia or whatever, you look for arepas, they said the country of origin is Colombia and Venezuela. There's like a dispute there, because Venezuelans said arepas are from Venezuela, not from Colombia. But anyway, so I think the Wikipedia just decided, both countries. And it's basically just, very traditional from native people working with corn, I guess. And just getting the flour of the corn or the hominy, like you said, and just making a base and using it as a meal for anything. So
can you get just like on a street vendor, one of the little carts just on the street? Or this is more like in the house or in a restaurant?
Both.
Okay.
So within Colombia, we have different kinds of arepas. In the interior of the country, they have arepa that usually they don't use cheese in it. It's just the corn and.
Oh, I didn't know it. I was actually from that part of the country because I didn't bring the cheese.
Yeah, and so they make it like pretty, let's say, a blend. So because it's just it's like
don't tell me I'm the bland one.
And then no, and then you put like beans on top or whatever you want. I don't know if you heard of the paisas in Medellin. They're very they have a popular arepa, which is the arepa paisa. And then in the coast where I'm from, we have la arepa with cheese, like the one you thought about, which basically we just put cheese whenever we're making it, the dough. But then also you can just put cheese on top. Have you tried it
with different kinds of cheese, like, like, I don't know, Gouda or Swiss or like
Not
Look at your face.
really. Well,
I always
in
ask
Colo-
questions like, what are different
Yeah.
options you could do?
So at my home, like we get like this hard, very salty cheese, and that's what we make it with, and that's what I always ate it with. Here in in the United States, when I moved to the United States, I had to find the right cheese, and I ended up finding the queso fresco, and I decided, this is as similar as I can get it.
So if
And I
you
like the
actually go
flavor.
to my YouTube channel, my mom makes, we always grew up calling that farmer's cheese.
Right.
This fresh cheese. So I actually have a recipe. My mom showed how to make it. You get some old milk, and in 20 minutes you have like fresh cheese like that.
Yeah, like the one you put the vinegar and like you could put the vinegar in. And
Well,
Yeah.
if the milk is really sour, you don't even have to add vinegar or lemon juice. But
Oh.
otherwise, yeah, you have to add. So I actually did a test where 6 weeks after the sell-by date was like the perfect time. So it's like too sour to drink, but you just like warm it up and it turns to cheese.
Okay.
And it's not
Nice.
sour. Anyway,
Did you get that non-pasteurized milk? Because I read
no,
somewhere.
just regular milk.
Okay.
Of course, the less fat there is in the milk, the harder it is to curd. But whole milk is better. But mom used to make it out of powdered milk even. So
Mhm. That's cool.
anyway,
I've only tried to make cheese one time. It's fun. I like it. But anyway, but I'm usually like don't have the time or I'm lazy and I just go get the Mexican brands, or even the Kroger brand of the queso fresco, whichever. But just basically like a crumbling one, just to make it easier. But in the cheese that we would use in my hometown would be a really hard one, so we would just grate it.
okay.
I end up grating this one too, and it just kind of dissolves into the dough. It just makes part of the dough.
So you mix it right into the dough. You don't put like a chunk in the middle of it.
Right? No.
Oh, okay. So
mix
it's so like it's literally like incorporated into the whole thing, and so it's
Yeah.
okay.
That's how I do it. That's how I do
right
it.
now. I'm really sad I didn't.
Well, that's like that cheese bread from, where was that from? Brazil, or where did we do cheese?
Pão
That
de
cheese.
queso is different, but yeah. So
Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Similar. Yes. Well,
so I
because
was thinking this was like a tamale, but instead of steaming it, we fried it where it had like something in the middle of it.
right.
Here
I
you're
mean,
saying
You
incorporate.
could get creative and do that, but yeah, I like to incorporate it. And then I love cheese. So then for breakfast, then I put more cheese on top.
Perfect.
So
So I do have powdered Parmesan. I could mix that in. It would completely be weird, but it'd be worth trying. Okay.
yeah, I mean,
There
you
you
bring
go.
a good point. I haven't experimented with other cheeses, but
Okay.
that's
Well, I
that.
shouldn't be experimenting. Usually I get the ingredients, but I missed out on that one. So
That's fine.
but
So we have.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
you did tell me that there is different fillings, but when you say fillings, I took that to mean again, like the tamale where you put it in the center. But when
Well-
you say fillings, you mean you actually just mix it in the dough and it's part of it.
No, when I
Okay.
said fillings, it was because so usually the Venezuelan arepa, they would just make the arepa and then they would open it and then stuff it, with cooked meats, or cheese or avocado or whatever. In Cartagena, we have a traditional arepa that is filled with egg, and that's the one I'm gonna try to make. I'm not an expert, but so that is very, very, very traditional of Cartagena and the north coast of Colombia. It's arepa huevo, and
Okay.
you fill it with cheese, and you can have it just cheese, or you can put beef, ground beef that is already cooked and flavor and everything. Just put a spoonful of that, and then an egg, and then you fry it. So I'm gonna try to show that.
Okay.
Just with the egg.
And then you also said there's a rare one, sweet one that usually they're savory. but sometimes there's a sweet one.
Right. So we have an arepita dulce, a sweet arepa, and basically the magic of it, the flavor is the anise and sugar, some sugar. But you know, you basically do the dough, and then you also incorporate the anise and the sugar in the dough, and then you fry it. And it's just so amazing. The anise, I love it. I love it. So I remember going to my dad's hometown, Barranquilla, and it's a little more traditional from that area, I guess, in Barranquilla, just 2 hours from Cartagena, but you would see it more there. And my aunt Mercedes, she always received us, you know, with arepita dulce, just freshly made, and it's just, to me, I taste that, and it just tastes like home, you know, to me. So I said, like, I need to show this. This is really cool because it's really simple, and it to me is amazing.
And then you did mention you could stuff it with black beans or sweet potato thinly sliced. I saw I don't know, a TikTok or some kind of short video where people would get the sweet potatoes. I grabbed these for that reason too, and cut them thin slices, and you bake them, and then you can use them as bread in a toaster later. You just like to make it as a sandwich for people who don't really use bread too much. But I don't know. I'm going to try to do two things. So, all right.
Are you gonna try to stuff it with sweet potatoes?
Maybe we'll see if I got time.
Okay.
See if I can keep up with you. So.
Oh yeah, this is, yeah.
But I
I'm
mean,
sure.
the ingredients you said were 2 cups of the pre-cooked cornmeal, 2 teaspoons of salt, 2.5 cups warm water, and then you just need an oil for pan frying it. And then your stuffing of choice.
Right, and salt, and yeah. And then for the sweet arepa, sugar and anise seed. See
So
here, smells delicious. And then and of course the cheese, if you want to incorporate it, but if you don't want to, you can also make the arepa without it and just put cheese on top of it once it's cooked. Salt, of course. So yeah.
But you said a lot of them are you can just make them without much flavor, and then you can serve them with stuff.
Right,
So,
like I even have here, I have like a leftover meat that I had cooked, and then I'll just
how is that
warm it up.
possible? I never have leftover food in my house. Never.
I love leftovers. I like to cook on
Always
Sundays.
cooking a little more to have leftovers. Yeah.
Yes, I love cooking on Sundays and just leaving a whole bunch of leftovers and eating through the week.
Yeah, I actually do that on Sundays. I like prep for the week sometimes.
You cook like for the entire Carbondale, for what I seen. You cook like-
Sometimes. I mean, back when we used to do rice and spice, it was we averaged 43 people at dinner. We cooked together like this, and then the public would come and eat with us. So
yeah, I did that once. Yes.
Yep. So
I think we did fried
this is the
plain-
new version of rice and spice. Now we cook for all over the world and share it. So
Nice.
all right.
Very
So,
cool. So
if you start talking, I have to find a bowl.
yes. Okay.
My kitchen, so it might take me a minute.
I'm gonna tilt the camera here so just you can see my layout. I like to use a pretty big bowl. Again, because I usually make like a whole bag during Sunday or the weekend, and then I can actually freeze my arepas, and then I can just have them, you know, for the rest of the week. I like to cook them on the.
Do you cook them and then freeze them, or you freeze them and then cook them?
I freeze them and then cook them, and I can show you how, like, my arrangement, because it works pretty good for me on how I store them and everything, and then how after they're frozen, how I put them on the skillet and cook them.
How long do they stay good for? I mean, probably limited in the freezer almost.
I can't tell because I eat them pretty fast. But months, really. I mean, in the freezer, yeah, they can be there months and they'll be fine. So let's, I have
You
this
did go
one.
over, you have to make sure you get the pre-cooked corn flour.
Yeah, this is a very famous brand, I think. And then I see you have a Goya one, which is pretty famous too. And I recommend them. I will always use these. This is what we use at home, back at home too. So if you get your bowl, and I'm not gonna measure these. I have half because I just froze half of this bag. So I can show you now, but I usually, I mean, I put some measurements there, but I don't really work very well with measurements. I just kind of go by feel, and I'm just gonna make all of this because I'm eventually gonna freeze them. And
So your recipe said for 2 cups, and it turns out it's like half of one of these bags.
it turns out that what?
That it's half of one of these bags.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
Pretty
'Cause
much.
I measured it out. So,
Yes.
if I'm making enough for 4 people, do you think I should do the whole bag?
No, I think with the half of the bag, it's enough for 4
Okay.
people. Depends on how hungry they are, I guess, but
Well, we just had unlimited brunch, so I don't think anybody will be hungry.
yes,
Just went to a restaurant with unlimited
right.
toppers.
And then I will just put the water. So I think every every brand would have different amounts of water that they need. This harina pan says for every 2 cups of the harina pan, you need 2.5 cups of water.
Yep, this one says the same.
The same, okay.
Yep, and then
So-
1 teaspoon of salt.
1 teaspoon of salt. So I won't add the water all at once. I will just put the water here. And I'll just start adding it little by little. Go here. And so maybe I add like 1 cup, and then I just use my hands, my wash hands. And I just start working the cornmeal.
So this is very much a hands-on job.
Yes, I actually love it. Just working my hands. Then I'm gonna add these more right here. So that was about 2 cups. Actually, not about, that was exactly 2 cups.
Oh, this feels really nice compared to other.
It does. And
This-
then after the 2 cups, depending on the amount, I just kind of, however it feels. The important thing is to make sure that you get rid of like the little balls of dough, and the dough is soft and malleable, So I'm
This has
gonna,
a different texture than regular flour, definitely. Like white flour,
yeah, it's like coarser, right? It's not, yeah.
but it's much finer than cornmeal.
Yes, I guess I keep calling it cornmeal. This is a little different. Corn flour,
Yeah.
right? Is that what you said? Corn flour.
So,
Yeah, so just keep adding water as you see fit, and it's just gonna start absorbing water, So you're gonna find yourself adding more and more, but just do it
so do you,
at a time.
I'm trying to watch you. Do you push down with your heel to mix it, or?
Yeah, I kind of push down, and you see I kind of go like this, and just trying to make sure I feel any, how to say, like, bowl, or
I'll get rid of the lumps, yeah,
get rid of the lumps, yeah.
so.
And it
Um,
still needs water.
So back home, how often do you think your family would make arepas?
Oh my God, like,
Is it like every morning thing, or every lunch, or is it every meal, or?
well, in Medellin, like every lunch, they will have arepa. In Cartagena, I don't know, maybe every other day or every 2 days. we'll have arepa for breakfast usually.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, for some reason in my mind, arepas are a breakfast thing.
Yes, in my mind too, actually. But in Medellin, they serve it with lunch, especially because they make smaller arepas. So it's just
When
a
you
little
say smaller, do you mean thinner or smaller in like?
smaller in diameter. Yeah,
Okay.
they do little tiny arepas.
How soft do you want this? This is like now like, you know,
Really
like
soft.
big
As long as
balls.
it's uniform, and I'll show you whenever I got mine ready. You want it so that
See, I mean,
you
it's,
know that it's not gonna break apart. So it's very like cohesive, I guess. So sometimes it would require a little more water than you think. That's why I kind of follow the instructions on the amount of
yeah,
water.
because so when I squeeze it, it makes like nice balls, but then when I squeeze it with my fingers, it still feels dry.
Right.
But I haven't
yeah,
put all,
yeah, you don't want it like this one still needs some water.
I haven't put full 2.5 cups. I've put like 2 cups so far.
Okay.
So it said 2.5 cups for 2
Yeah.
cups. Wow.
And I use a little more than 2 cups, and that's why I'm like keep adding water.
And I guess it's how humid is your area? Oh,
What's the altitude? Where's the altitude where you are? No, I don't know about that.
so. All right. Yeah, I have to be very careful because I tend to put things in too quickly when I cook. And I found out that many times I make things way too wet and then it takes forever to cook because I made it too wet.
Right, yeah. Yeah, we want to find the right, and
Look
what
at-
is important again is the lumps, like.
Yeah, look at my friend's measuring cup. It's actually got a little spout on it. I've never seen one like this.
Oh, yeah, that is nice.
Very good for pouring a little liquid.
That's a gravy separator.
Oh, is it really? Okay, well, now I know. It does have measurements on the side of it, so.
Yeah, because it takes all the gravy out of the bottom, but leaves the fat on the top.
All right.
Or
But
so
that's
it's
the best part.
It's an oil separator, I guess, not gravy.
People are always taking all the good flavors out.
Mhm.
So,
I love the
Alright.
smell.
You do, yeah, corn.
Yeah.
oh, it smells like it quite literally smells like a fresh tortilla. Yeah, like
Mhm.
I've been into tortillerias in Mexico where they're, you know, making fresh tortillas and the whole place smells like this. So, I mean, this is cooked. I can taste a little of it, right? I mean,
Yeah, you can taste a little bit. Actually, once you kind of are getting there to the sweet spot here of the dough, you can start adding, what I do, I just start adding salt to the dough. Just a little bit of salt all around and incorporate it.
well, this is where I could add my Parmesan cheese, which
Yeah,
doesn't have
after
salt.
these,
Let's see.
right, well, yeah, you're right. You have to.
This
be
Parmesan
mindful
cheese
of the
has salt
cheese.
in it. So,
There you go. So
up.
I'm gonna also incorporate the cheese now. You're right. I was forgetting that actually.
So yeah, I wonder if
told you I have
your cheese
queso
is salty,
fresco.
you don't have to add much salt.
Right, yes. And I had some queso fresco already like used, so I'm just gonna.
So this right here is like, I grew up, we would make hominy and then we would grind it up and make little balls like this and boil them. That's Native American.
Really? Okay, so we also, we don't do balls, but we do like what we call bollo. And it's just like cylindrical. and we wrap it with corn husks, and we boil it. Or we
Wait, that's
steam
called a tamale. No, I'm just kidding.
it. Well, we don't fill it with anything, and
Okay.
yes, and we call
But you
boil.
make it into balls instead of like a flat cylinder like the
We
tamale.
make it into like a like a cylinder. I was gonna say like a turd, but we're cooking. But it's like a
Yeah.
turd shape. Then we wrap it in corn husk and we steam it. And it's
Nice.
also used for in breakfast. And then you can also do it out of like plantain or out of yuca. And anyway, we call it boyu.
So when you say out of plantain or yuca, are you talking about you cook it, mash it, and then add it to it, or just completely separate?
Yeah, you use some corn flour, but you also use, cooked mashed plantains, cooked mashed yuca. Yeah.
Okay. So,
So you can like crumble your cheese if it's pretty crumbly, or I just like to grate it.
oh, I just want to forget cooking this now. I just want to nibble on this right now. It's because it's already pre-cooked,
Uh-huh.
but
Making arepas is like playing almost with Play-Doh almost to me. It's like,
well, people want to eat Play-Doh too, so why not?
why not?
So, hey, if anybody has kids, just make them some masa Play-Doh so they can eat it. So,
Absolutely, why not?
all right, so I think this is a little too dry.
Let me see.
You know, the reason Play-Doh is called Play-Doh is because it's dough that kids play with.
That's what it used to be, right?
No, I mean, just real dough, and you're saying, hey, kids should play with this. Yeah, that's where it started.
Let me ask my mom and see. Mami, ¿me escuchas?
But it's like,
Silvia, ¿me escuchas?
I don't think her microphone is working.
I don't think so neither.
Yeah.
She can't hear me. I was gonna ask her if she has a test to make sure the dough is ready. But I would say that kind of trying like Or is doing, like if you try a little bit,
I
a
think
little
if it's
more, and then
think
it's pretty
better if
cohesive.
it's dry enough that it's not sticking to your hands. But
It's not sticking to your hand, but it's not like when you, where's the camera here? Like when you press it and it opens up, it doesn't has like too many cracks, I guess, or it
Yeah.
doesn't, just kind of stays pretty together, even when you put some pressure on it. Like
Yeah.
right here, I have a little arepa. So if you know it's gonna stay like this.
but you don't want it crumbly. You want to be
Right.
a little wet enough. Of course, because I put the Parmesan cheese, that soaked up most of my moisture. I need to.
Yeah. And
It's
you know,
powdered.
don't be limited by the instructions in the bag, you know, you just put as much water as you need, period.
So yeah, I just added probably another 2 tablespoons. But now it's, I think, much more.
And if you want too much water, you can always add a little more corn flour, you know, it's just.
If you have some, sometimes I usually just pour the whole bag in and then I like don't have any left.
Well,
That's my habit. It's like, oh, I opened this bag, I'll just use the whole bag and then I make it too wet. Messed up.
And can you over mix this or over knead it?
I
Well,
think
if
my aunt would say yes.
I would
Probably.
say if you need it so much and you get so relaxed, you don't want to cook anymore, you needed it too much.
But yeah, I guess you can find yourself like very just playing with it, really relaxed and just going and going. But eventually, no, I think there will be no danger of that actually. I don't feel lumps. So once you don't feel any lumps, you think you have the right texture, we're gonna let it rest for a few minutes.
Okay, perfect timing. I'm going to get myself some pineapple lemon water. I had leftover pineapple skins and I just put it in some water and give
All right.
that water some nice flavor here.
Very good. So I'm just gonna let it rest there. And
Let's see. I have some onion and eggs and sweet potatoes. Maybe I could cut something up and prep it, fry it. Let's see. Right. And then I did get a can of black beans. And then I came across this, I thought it would be good. Sofrita español.
ooh, okay.
Just like a
Yeah,
little
so you just
sauce.
put that on the on the pot in the skillet, warm it up, and
So this
Nice.
is like basically tomatoes and then red, green, and yellow peppers, onions, and then spices. That's like, well, the ones I've seen it is you get all those vegetables, you fry them slightly, and then you blend them. So I was excited to see that. But I do have, what do we have to do with the eggs?
right. Well,
Ooh,
hold
I
on.
forgot. I also have
Not yet.
guava
Not yet.
marmalada. That's
What is
gonna
that?
go- Guava marmalada to go with the sweet one.
Oh, to go with the sweet one. All right.
I was like,
That's a good idea.
I saw that in the store, so I was like, ooh, yeah. So,
In the meantime, what I will do is I will prepare well, the first ones I'm going to teach you, you can just like cook on the skillet. We won't fry it. And then the other two, the sweet one and the arepa con huevo, we will fry.
okay.
You can also, the arepas, you can also cook them, bake them, just put them in the oven and bake them too. But I kind of prefer just to cook them in the skillet, really, just like the taste better. I can control, like they don't get too dry and all that. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of oil here. And the heat would be like medium heat.
So you said to put a little oil.
Yeah, just put
Okay.
a little bit of oil, just to coat it, just so the arepa doesn't stick to the skillet.
I got a little coconut oil on me.
And then if you want, we can also prepare the pot that we're gonna be frying the other ones in.
Okay.
So I'll just add quite a bit of oil because we want the whole arepa to be submerged in the oil. We want to
So we
make
have-
sure.
One of them we're kind of deep frying and one of them you just barely put any oil in.
Yes.
Okay.
So I found I'm using like the deepest pot that I could get in my kitchen because it's gonna be pretty reactive, it's gonna splatter. It could splatter, so be a little dangerous there. So I have like, I don't know, like 2 inches, maybe 3 inches of oil in there. This is just, like I said, leftover beef. This is actually from a beef stew. And I thought, well, I'll just put this on top of my arepas, but you can be creative, just like Or is being creative. You can put a fried egg on top of your arepa. You can, just endless possibilities.
So I do have some chicken. Do you always do it just like basically where you just do like you cook it well and then you just pull it so it's everything small?
Cook it well. What do you mean?
Like make it so the chicken or the beef is very small sized. Because you're trying to put it inside, right?
If you're trying to put it inside, yes, absolutely. Yes, you
Yeah.
want it to be small and you want it to be probably cohesive, like your chicken, you want it in a sauce or, you know, kind of like a stew, like shredded
Okay.
chicken, be shredded chicken.
Okay. Yeah, I've got
Yeah.
this chicken. I can cook that, put on the side. Because I don't have time to cook it. So
Yeah, I almost thought about that, but then I was like, maybe it will be a little too much. So
yeah.
we'll just tiny steps.
All right. So I've
Okay.
got one pan, I've got two pans heating up. One is just a little oil and one with a lot of oil.
Okay, so let's start with the ones that you've just put on the skillet. And of course, you know, like you can taste it like always doing, and then decide if it needs a little more salt or not. And then you just adjust. I might put a little more salt in mine here.
Put the chicken back in.
Okay. And let me.
Ooh, I made some ceviche yesterday. Can we eat that with it?
Absolutely. Just like on top of it, just ceviche. It's not quite the combination that we would use in Colombia, but
Well, I ask a lot of inane questions to try to find out how people do things and
right.
are
Okay,
there
so
other options. So when you're patting them out, what size, thickness and diameter are you? So I
Yeah.
patted this
So
one
it's-
out, but
is your preferred, you know, lately I've been doing them kind of thick because I freeze them and I figured out that, you know, that they're thicker, they freeze better. And then when
Okay.
I thaw them out and cook them again, they're just better. And then I can only eat one, you know, because then if I make them too small or thing, I want to eat two or three. But
So are you-
I just took.
when you roll
about
it in a
this
ball that is slightly smaller than a baseball.
Yes, that would be right. I
Okay,
don't
so
know.
that's a lot
About-
bigger
May have
than I
bigger.
thought.
This is bigger, maybe, no?
Yeah,
Or about the same size as a baseball.
so
And I
Hers is-
just go,
Hers is bigger or than you. What? Take a look at her camera. She's showing it in her hand.
okay.
yeah.
Well, I have bigger hands. So here it is compared to a size of a can. So it's about this, I don't know, half the size of the can. So
Yeah, what do I have here? I don't know. I have a spoon here for comparison. Big spoons.
okay.
So yeah, I just massage it into a ball. I try to make a perfect ball, smooth, make sure there are no lumps. Okay.
More massaging.
And then you can just press, just start pressing.
So do you
and-
always do it in your hand or do you ever do it just on a counter?
Okay, so yeah, so I'll show you this technique. I do it in my hand just because I like it this way, but if you want, and then, you know, you can pick your thickness and how big you want it, but this is about, what would this be, like a little more than a quarter of an inch, I say. But that's more, this is more like almost like a half an inch there.
Yeah, it's pretty thick, yeah.
Yeah, this one is pretty thick. So this one's, and then I go
But
like
I mean,
this.
it's pre-cooked, so you don't really have to like cook the center. It's not like you're using another kind of flour where you have to cook the center. You can actually
Yeah.
eat this raw.
Yes,
already
you
pre-cooked.
can. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, when we cook them, we just maybe want them to be crunchy and then, you know, hard enough where you can put stuff on top or stuff inside. But you're right, it's pre-cooked. So and then I go on the edge. I just go like this with my finger, and I kind of start turning it like this, do that. So to me, like, this is great. I don't have to work this.
Oh, look how
Anyway.
beautiful that is. Yeah, mine is all rough edges, but I'll keep working on it.
Yep, yep. And then, so I was gonna show you what I do here. That this. So I start packing them like this. And this here, it's actually, I use like the bags of coffee beans. I just
Okay.
cut them
So
and
any,
use them.
probably any type of plastic bag.
Any type of plastic, but I like, no, but I like these ones because it's pretty thick. You know,
Okay.
like the coffee bags or this bags. Actually, I just cut this bag where the
Yeah,
corn flour came in, and I just
So-
open it up.
so a thicker plastic bag or plastic.
Yes, and yeah, and I just make layers and layers. Here are like 2 layers of arepas here.
Oh, this is for freezing them, yeah?
This is for freezing. Yeah, we can make this one for freezing. And then I have cut here more coffee bags we have here, and I just use it to separate the layers.
Oh, okay.
So it's just easy to get out of the freezer one by one, you know, individually.
Yeah, I guess it would be kind of hard to put into like a gallon freezer bag to try to slide them in.
Yes.
So like that way it's a lot easier. So,
I just take my arepa and just stick it there, and then I'll just make layers. I could have this container, could have probably
Yeah.
like 4
do
or
you
5
find
different-
it takes any longer to cook it when it's frozen versus fresh?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, and I'll show you a frozen one, how I just take it out of there and cook it.
Okay,
And it has to be, the only downside I would say of an arepa is that it takes a while to cook. At least the way, you know, I like for them to taste. It takes a while to cook because you want to cook it in low heat because you don't want to burn them, you know, and you want it to cook all the way through too, or as much as. So, for example, this is a frozen arepa. It hasn't been frozen too long, but when you're gonna get your frozen arepa and cook it, you're gonna get a knife and it's gonna have just ice all over. So you wanna scrape the ice. Scrape the ice. And then you're gonna have butter. This is that technique that my Aunt Mercedes taught me. But basically, you're just gonna have butter on your frozen arepa and just smear it all over. Whoop, sorry. Whoop, that's because it's frozen. And the butter is hard. But if you have a little softer butter, and then you're gonna smear it all over. It's a piece of butter paper here.
just like. How can you, I was about to say, how can you mess up putting butter?
I know, I am
Always-
messing up.
always put plenty of butter.
Well, the problem is this one, I just kind of made this one, so they're not quite frozen.
Oh, okay.
And that's why it's so hard. But
Wow.
when they're really frozen and hard, it's like a rock, you know, you can kill somebody with one of these arepas. But anyway, you smear them, and then you smear both sides of the arepa.
Now,
And
are
then
Do you only do the frozen ones like that? Or are you doing it?
only the frozen, yeah, because
Yeah.
remember, we already put like oil in
Yeah.
the skillet over here. So we don't need a whole bunch of butter or oil unless you really like it. Unless you really like oil and butter, so. But anyway, and your skillet is in low heat. Now, maybe you use medium because you wanted to get it hot.
Clase de
But-
arepa
diciendo para que la gente.
My mom was talking over there. She's bragging about me. I know.
She finally got her mic working.
I know.
All right.
And yeah, and you just set your arepa on the skillet.
But you
And
said
then
at the lowest heat, right?
Lowest heat, yeah. Right there.
And you don't really have to worry too much about it cooking the center because this is already pre-cooked.
Exactly.
What are you trying to do? Get it nice and crispy on both sides, right?
Yes, yeah. I mean, yeah, soft enough in the center, but yeah, nice and crispy. Maybe a nice golden color all around. But
And so yours just has that cheese crumbled in it, right?
yes, mine
That's
just
it.
has that.
So,
And then I'm gonna also cook the fresh one that I just made. Just set it there.
and honestly, what do you think is better? I mean, the only difference is that the frozen one takes longer to cook, or is there a discernible
flavor?
difference? Yeah.
I think the ones in the freezer they tend to get drier, so.
Yeah, I guess
you
that
know,
moisture,
they-
that ice you were scraping off the outside, the moisture came to the surface, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Now, do you ever thaw them out before you cook them, or you just always cook them frozen?
I have thawed them out and it's terrible because they will all crumble.
Okay, got it.
when you cook them. Yes, I definitely make that mistake. So that's why it's better just to put them on the skillet, just frozen with low heat and butter on them. That's why I said that's the technique to use, because yes, I definitely, or you cook them and then you freeze them and then you reheat them, not the same, they get kind of hard. And so this is the best way I found if you want to do like a prep meal with arepas, you want to have arepas kind of almost ready,
All right. Yeah, I
So
like
there's-
the idea of prepping a bunch of them and then, oh, I want one for breakfast. They just take it out and fry it. You could fry one on one side and an egg on the other side, and some onions and vegetables,
Mhm.
on the same pan, and you have yourself a
Your breakfast, yeah. We also eat them like with ogao, or the tomato and onions cut real fine and then made into a sauce, and then you put garlic and then you just put it on top of it.
So that's called ogalo?
Ogao.
Okay. Now, do you chop it real fine, or do you put it in a blender and make a sauce, or you just make it like a pico de gallo?
Yeah, just make it like a pico de gallo and then cook it, basically.
Oh, okay.
Then some
So-
people add cilantro, some people don't, but
So it's like a
basically
pico de gallo, but slightly cooked or really cooked?
really cooked.
Oh, okay.
So it's almost like a sauce, but it's still kind of chunky, but cooked, I guess.
All right. Let's see.
How's yours coming along? Do you have the?
I might be getting ahead of you because
You are. I
we're
see
not
that.
paying attention. I've got 3 of them in my
I
skillet.
should repeat my
So,
arepa making.
but I didn't have all that distraction of a frozen one skidding across the floor.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I definitely wanted you guys to know that, because
Yeah, thank you.
It's very really practical for me, to know that. And
Now, be honest, do you think your family would think it's sacrilegious to freeze them and use them later, or always make them fresh?
no, not at all. No,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, how about this? Can you go in the store and just buy frozen ones?
I have not seen them in the store frozen, no, because I don't know, we're just used to cooking fresh.
Well, it's so simple to make too, yeah.
exactly. It's just like, oh, arepas, you know, you make them in no time.
But I mean, in the US, we have so much simple stuff to make and you buy it frozen all the time, right?
Yeah, and you know, I haven't checked at the international store if they have arepas, because I know I saw the pupusas, and the sopes. Actually, when was it? A few days ago, when I was looking for the corn flour, they do have the frozen ones at the El Paisano, is the Mexican store, you know. But I have not seen arepas.
And the cheese bread we saw from Brazil, those you could buy in a package.
Right, yeah.
Just to like stick in the oven and.
Yep. So, but. All right. This smells so good.
Yes. Oh, wait until we do the sweet one.
That's what it tastes like before it's cooked. That's good. I just gave her a taste of just the dough. No, it's pre-cooked. It just before we fry it. And yeah, I mean, I'm going to be using this a lot more, the pre-cooked cornmeal.
Uh-huh.
I bet you could use the same stuff for what Italian polenta. It'd cook a lot quicker.
Yes, yeah, it's basically the same, I believe, no? The polenta?
I think, I don't know. I'm learning more and more the difference that, you know, there's cornmeal, there's corn flour, there's corn grits, which is hominy that's been dried and then roughed up. And then there's this, which is hominy that's been cooked, dried, and then ground really fine. I think I've got all that right. So.
Yeah, I wish I would have done more research on that and tell you with certainty, but I don't know.
But that's part of it is, you know, I mean, we've really run into a problem in our cooking show of caramelizing sugar. Found out that the majority of sugar in the US is not a quality sugar and not very good for caramelizing versus it's not a real cane sugar. It's like a beet sugar and it doesn't caramelize. So you have to buy a special sugar. So just some stuff that you think is just, hey, this is sugar, there's no difference. Hey, this is corn flour, there's no difference.
I think it was beet sugar versus cane sugar.
Yep. And the problem in the US, it just says sugar on the thing and you don't know what kind of sugar it is unless it says specifically cane or beet. So anyway. And then a couple weeks ago, we had a lady who had pomegranate molasses, and it's very easy to get in the Middle East, but a rare ingredient in a lot of the rest of the world. So you never know. I recently read that, or I think Fred, you told me that in Mexico, matzo flour and tortillas are subsidized by the government because it's considered an essential food.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was just talking about it, I think last night, where you go to the tortilleria and they, you know, they're making the tortillas, but you can also go there and just get the masa and take it home and make your own tortillas.
So they just have the like already made like this, just ground.
Yeah, well, they just kind of get it in a big container and they take it home and make their own, and probably even costs less than getting the ones that are made, even though they're subsidized.
Yeah.
How are your arepas on the skillet? How are they looking? Make sure they're not sticking.
So it's golden. I flipped it once. It's golden on one side.
Nice, yes.
But I tried 3 different sizes, not in diameter, but in thickness.
Uh-huh.
So I have one really thin, one medium, and then one really thick. See.
Cool.
I thought Natalia said they were like, you're really deep frying them. You're not? They're not being deep fried with oil?
Not these ones, but we will make one that is deep
Oh,
fried.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
I was confused, I was
This one,
confused.
yeah, I have one skillet and then I have the pot for
Okay,
the other ones.
all right, okay, I
if-
see. Yeah.
Yeah. So now
Two
if you
different-
have, yeah, because I mean, you can still fry these ones too.
Yeah, like you said, you can bake them, deep fry them, or pan fry them.
Yes.
I
If you
see,
have-
okay,
If you have some dough left over, I want us to try to do the sweet arepa. So don't
Okay.
make them all. So I'm gonna show you here. I think this would be about the 2 cups of dough here. And then the only difference is we're gonna add sugar. Well, actually, hold on. This one has cheese in it. I don't know if you guys wanna make another dough without the cheese.
I don't know,
Or-
sweet cheese is pretty good.
Sweet cheese, okay, we'll try this one then. So
Right.
I will just gonna add sugar to the rest of these. And I'm using a 1/4 cup of sugar.
But you also said you put spice in, right?
Yes,
Let me see.
I'm putting anise.
Have you tried any other spices? It's always on this.
I have not tried other spices, only anise.
Now, when you say anise, is it the anise seed or powder?
The anise seed.
Okay.
Here it is. Anise seed.
That, you have to be very careful with that, right? Because it's a really strong flavor.
I like a lot of it, actually. It depends on, but yeah, but you know, I would take maybe 2 or well, 1 tablespoon, maybe 2, even 2 tablespoons for the 2 cups of corn flour. And I'm just gonna kind of rub it in my hands and just spread it all over this flour and just try to mix everything in.
Now, do you just eat them plain usually, or do you serve them with, like, this seems like something that you'd always want to like put some butter on. It's hot. Let's put some butter on. But
Yes,
otherwise, especially the sweet one. The sweet one, it seemed like I would want to serve it with some kind of jam. But
yeah, you know, we just kind of eat it, the sweet one, I just eat it by itself. But
Okay.
yes, I mean, with butter, it will be great. Never really thought about putting jam on it because it's sweet itself. You will see. I mean,
okay.
do you like anise?
I do, but I don't know. I'm just so used to just putting barely any into it with other spices, so I'm not sure how I would like it just plain. So it'd be
Okay.
it'd be worth trying here. So
Uh-huh. Yeah, if you're putting other spices, you meant like besides anise or with the anise?
yeah, when I cook, like anytime I've ever used anise in the past, I always cooked it with other spices.
Okay.
You know, so it's just like, so.
Okay, this time
I
you'll
don't
give
think I've
the,
ever cooked something with anise as the only flavor. So, all right,
all right,
I learned something new.
yes,
I like it. So, but
okay. So, and for this one, we are gonna then try another technique on how to make the arepa. And it's basically using that flat surface.
oh, okay. Instead of doing it in your hand, you do it on a surface.
Right, we want this one to be a little more, I guess, perfectly thin.
Now, are you still going to just use your hand, or do you use like a rolling pin?
I'll show you.
All
I'll
right.
show. So I have, where did I put? So I put on the list something about ziploc bag, but you can use any plastic too, but these 1 gallon ziploc bags are pretty handy. And basically I just cut the ziploc bag along the sides here. And then of course I get something like this,
Okay.
pretty long. And I just lay it down on the flat surface. I put a little bit of oil just so it doesn't stick to the plastic. Just a little bit of oil here, and then on the other flap as well. Just some tiny drops. Just spread it. And I have also a plate, pretty big plate, flat plate. So I will take my bowl of dough with anise and sugar. And I have to say, usually these sweet ones I make with the white corn flour, but this will work. It's the same. It's just different color. And I pressure it a little bit, my bowl. Set it in the middle, one of the flaps. Cover the bowl with the other flap. And then use my plate to press down.
Now, did you put it between both of the plastic, right?
Yeah,
Okay. I need
you
to
see
fold this.
there?
Yeah.
In between the long ziploc bag, and just press down until you get a pretty thin one. I'd say a 1/4 of an inch. And that's why I have a pretty big plate. So it's gonna be, oh, sorry. It's gonna be a pretty big arepa there. I want it really, really thin. And then I'm gonna make a denture, like a little hole. And I think the hole is made so that, look, when you put it in the frying pot, like you can lift it with a fork or something. I'm not sure, but traditionally they just make a little hole here.
Is it? But it's not in the exact center.
It's not.
Huh.
It's just on the side. I don't really know, but that's kind of how you, or I don't know if they made it so. Yeah, I'm not really sure even what the hole is there, but I know that all Arepita dulce that I've eaten has that hole.
Maybe it's just someone made a do that so you can tell that it's sweet, not, and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, you think it has the anise, so you would see the brown little spots in it, but I think it is just to identify as dulce, you know? And then I go around the edges with the plastic, just make sure the edges are just round and like that.
All right. I got lots of it practice to get this through.
Okay.
All right. So
How
you
is
make
it
look-
working for you?
it's just like, it looks horrible. I'm sure it'll taste fine.
It looks okay. I think you just need to go like this on the side.
Yeah, I'm
like-
just like, anyway, just like, if I keep practicing, maybe, but you'll be surprised. You know, that's why I tell people I want something you think is simple, and then I'll learn. So anyway, people are like,
I'm just-
oh, I could buy that. It's really easy to make. Nope.
Right.
Look how horrible that was.
I'm just looking into, make sure you're checking on your skillet arepas. Okay, so you have your, we're gonna fry this one, right? So you have your pot of hot oil on the side. Probably have it on, I have it on a medium heat right now. It's probably really hot. They said also that if you wanna, you know, check that your oil is hot enough, because it needs to be hot enough. I'm gonna move this a little closer. Then I lose, see.
So what, you probably want the oil to be bubbling.
Right, so if I put just a little tiny piece of dough, it should be doing that, right? Should be bubbling like that.
Yeah, a mistake I see a lot of people do, and I used to do this, is you drop a little thing of water in there and see if it bubbles.
Oh,
No,
no.
always drop a little bit of flour in there and see how it bubbles, and it's a lot less dangerous.
Yes, so that's certainly bubbling there. I'm just gonna take it out of here.
And you see how mine is
And
bubbling?
then
Look at that.
it is bubbling. There you go. Woo, you're already
I just
rocking it.
flipped the first ones, but
Mine got turned
got-
out
I got
a little,
I got 4
mine
people.
turned
to
out
feed.
pretty big.
I need to get cooking here.
Yeah, mine turned out really big, probably a mistake, but I'm gonna try to carefully put it in there.
So of the 3 methods, just regular frying, deep frying, and baking, which one do you like the most for tasting, and which one do you like the most for cooking?
For tasting, the fried one for sure.
The deep fried one or the regular?
The deep fried,
Okay.
the deep fried, yes. But if I'm trying to be healthy and not eat too much fat and everything, then I just put it in the skillet, and it's a little longer process. But so you can see how it just kind of puffed up, and that's what you want. And then you want to keep throwing some of the hot oil on top of it, just kind of bathing it in it. And it just puffs up beautifully.
And I guess probably baking is the least amount of work, huh?
Yes, I would say
Okay.
definitely. Yeah, you don't have to pay much attention to it. Especially if you're making a whole bunch, you know. Woo, that is burning, not good.
Oh, that cooked really quick.
I cook really quick because my oil is really, really hot. So I just use some paper towels just to drain some of that oil. And
I was just reading on Wikipedia that in Colombia, there's like 75 different types of arepas around Colombia.
I believe it. I just know about 4.
So Fred, when you're looking it up, is the difference just the different things they put in it, or is there a lot of different methods of cooking it? Okay, so I haven't made the sweet one yet because I
There's
already
some
have
samples like you say with queso costeño, coastal cheese, other types of meats, doble crema and chicken.
Double crema and chicken. Okay.
They have one called Arepa boya sensei, and butter, eggs, and cheese.
So it's just
Has a
different,
certain sweetness.
just different
Blah, blah, blah.
ingredients with it.
And there's
not
also
really-
arepa paisa, which is consumed in Antioquia with maize, triado, thresh corn. Yeah, it goes on and on and on. So they seems like every region's kind of got their own little, or even little, every city sometimes.
So Natalia, yours, like when it cooked kind of curved, I think that's because of the hole in it.
Yeah, they usually don't do that.
Oh, okay. I was asking if that was normal.
I think I made it a little too big. But no, there's just flat, you know, they stay flat usually. They just get crunchy on the outside. I kind of took it out of the heat because I didn't want it to burn.
Yeah.
Did you make yours already? I want you to taste it just to see what you think with the
Okay.
anise flavor.
Right to eat.
I'm
right?
Well,
already
the sweet one I haven't made yet. I have 4 of them in there still, so it'll take a while.
okay.
Yep. So,
Yeah, let's go back to the skillet ones.
yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
Say the reason the hole is there is so the oil passes through.
But why would the hole be off to the side instead of right in the center?
Right
I
in
don't
the
know,
center.
But it
I don't
also,
know.
it sounds like it would be when you deep fry them, maybe. I don't know.
To make sure it's crispy throughout, yeah.
Wait a minute. I just watched Natalia take a bite. What do they taste like? Out of
They taste like heaven. No, I don't know. They're just sweet anise. These ones also have the salt of the cheese, so
Yeah, it seems like a lot of cultures, I mean, in the US, they have like Johnny cakes and they have all kinds of fried bread kind of things with corn in the US because corn was very common. I mean, my mother's family was from like Tennessee, you know, so they made cornbread and corn, you know, all kinds of different variations of these things. Because they didn't have wheat so much because they were, you know, lived on the farm.
So I did make 3 different versions of the pan fried ones in thickness. And so here's the thinnest one and here's the thickest one. And I don't think I'm gonna like the thick one because too much softness in the center. Yeah,
Too much softness. You want it to be a little more like rigid and
yeah, I like the thinner one better.
Crunchy
crunchier.
as it gets thinner as it gets crunchy,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's crunchier versus, you know, it almost feels to me like it's not cooked in the center because it's so soft.
But
but
if you're gonna stuff it, open it up and put an egg or something, it's gotta be thicker.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
true. If I want to open this up, the thick
Yeah.
one, I could
Yeah.
Yes.
like, look at that.
Exactly. So you could
There you
stuff
go.
that with
Okay.
anything you want.
Oh, and look at the cheese, like the cheese can, you can't see the stretchy cheese. So yeah, the thicker one definitely is easier. The thin one, yeah, this one's too thin to open up.
That's the one you put the jam on, the
Yeah,
thin one.
okay, makes more sense.
Yeah, more like a toast with
Yeah.
the thinner ones.
Yep. So,
All right.
all right.
Should we try to
wait.
do the egg one with the egg?
All right, yeah, let's try to do this quick because we're running a little long on time here.
The
Okay.
sweet one tastes so good.
You like it? Good.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like it's just so simple. It's like sugar and anise, and it's just amazing. I don't know how to describe it other than, you know, if you like anise.
Well, I can't stop eating the one. And I just ate lunch. All you can eat lunch too, I went to.
Okay.
How,
All
how
right,
is it
how do
with
you
the,
make the egg one?
quick question, how is the one with the cheese and the sugar, Natalia, compared to it without the cheese?
I don't know, because the anise kind of takes over. So I haven't really found a lot of difference, but you definitely don't have to use the cheese. But every now and then I bite into it and then I get a hint of the salty cheese. So it's, you know, that's good. If you like sweet and salty in the same.
And that's
mouthful,
common in a lot
then,
of
yeah.
dishes to have sweet and salt together.
So
So for the egg one, are we Just frying an egg and stuffing it inside, or?
No, I'll show you. It could be a little tricky, but I'm gonna try here.
All right, let's try the tricky.
I don't want to use the sweet dough. So I still have these ones that I already made, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do like an arepa with these. So I'm gonna use, I made them kind of this size, but we want the cheese one to be bigger. So I'm gonna use some of the other dough and just put it together and make a bigger arepa. Right here, let me take this plate over here for now. And usually these fried, the arepa con huevo, they don't use the cheese. You just use the flour, the corn flour, no cheese in it. You put your, your salt in it. But then, let's see, let me try this. I'm making a thick, big arepa. And I'm gonna make sure that my oil, well, first of all, let's just have it rest here. And then I have I don't know, a little gravy or cream bowl or something. I just needed this little spigot here. And I'm gonna crack an egg in there. See it? In there. Okay. And make sure that you have, let me get a kitchen towel, because we're gonna handle a hot arepa. Okay, so you want to have a kitchen towel here. And what I'm gonna do is in the hot oil, I'm gonna dump the arepa there.
I would.
And I'm gonna hope for it to pop up.
So can I use this one I already like popped open, where I ate a little piece?
If it's too cooked, no, because you don't want it to be overcooked.
Okay.
You just want it to be a little
Yeah,
bit.
because you're gonna have to put it back in to cook the egg.
Exactly. So this one is fluffing up. Something fell there. And it's got a bit fluff. So I'm gonna just set it on my paper towel there. And important thing is I'm gonna need it for it to rest and cool off a little bit. But before I handle it again, I need to let it cool off. I'll show you kind of the steps. So I don't make this too often because I'm not very good at it. So I wanted to show you. Here I have just water, and then I'm just gonna make a little bit of salt water. We don't need a whole lot, just need like 1 tablespoon. And make it here, you guys see it. I'm gonna get myself a little closer to the stove.
How did you do the egg? Did you just beat the egg?
No, just
Just put it in a measuring
put
cup.
it in a little
Oh,
cup.
you're trying to pour the whole egg in, huh?
I was just trying to pour the whole egg inside the arepa. Yes.
Oh.
I'm just moving my pots here, so it's easier for
But
me.
don't use the gravy one.
Yeah.
No, probably not.
Because the yolk won't go through.
Are you making a yolk about the yolk? That might be my only option, or maybe I could use a big spoon. I could maybe use the big spoon.
Well, see how she's gonna do it.
Yeah, let's let it cool. I made a mistake the other day of I took the puffed arepa and then I tried to open it right away, pour the egg, and it didn't work. The arepa was crumbling and everything. So you need to let it get a little stiffer.
You don't need to rush it where we have time.
Well,
Okay.
mine I'm still frying, so I'm behind you guys. Look how the deep fried, how
Looks really
they're
pretty.
they're too hot to hold. So this is how golden the deep fried one got, just completely golden on all sides. And then
Mhm.
this one was the one that was fried in the pan. You can see it gets
Yeah.
different. At least mine got different colors.
Yeah. So are you liking the fried one better then?
Well, I haven't
think-
tried it. It's too hot, but as far as like the same golden texture over the whole thing, definitely better.
I
Gotcha.
bet if you put them in the, baked them and put a egg wash over them, they would really get kind of brown in the oven. If you kind of, painted them with a little egg wash, I bet they
Uh-huh.
would get brown.
All right.
Okay. Let's try this. So I'm gonna take a knife. Well, first, let me see. I'm just like all over the place, but so I have my salt water here, and I'm just gonna put 1 tablespoon of salt water where I have my egg. This is something I learned from a lady that was cooking in the street. This is very famous street food, arepa huevo. And she put just like a tablespoon of salt water with the egg. And then some people or some street vendors, they have arepa con huevo and beef. So they cook some ground beef and they also put a spoonful of beef inside. But I'm just gonna try to crack it open here. So I'm noticing a mistake here. Actually, this would puff up when I cook it on the side. And in this little hole here is where I'll put my egg. So I might have made it a little bit too thick, but basically what you want is for this little pocket to form. So you can pour your egg there. I'm still gonna try it. So the other thing that you do is you put a little bit of the dough right here where you're gonna close your arepa.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yes, so that you can
Seal it back up.
seal it back up. Yeah, and mine is crumbling, so I don't know if this is gonna work, but this is the technique anyway. And then I'm gonna pour my egg inside and quickly close it. That
It's still
didn't
too
work.
hot.
Yeah, and then dump it in there. Okay, and be careful when you dump it. So I got my mistake there, but I think it's cooking. I think the egg is cooking, which is important, and it's staying. I think it's staying in the arepa there
And
too.
if you have leftover dough, you can seal it with some leftover dough or
Okay. I think I did it. I think it started leaking a little out of one hole, but I got it slid into the pan right when it started leaking.
Awesome.
So
do you have one of those? Do you have one of those little strainers like she has?
no.
That's good for getting stuff out of hot oil.
Yes, this street vendor, she only had like a fork, and she's such an expert.
So one thing I did, I
Doing it
didn't
with a
have
fork.
nice little, I have this funny thing. I used the spoon to put the egg yolk in, and then I poured the white part in. is how I did it. Because I tried to pour the whole thing in
Uh-huh.
and it was like, and so then I just, scooped it out and put it the
Uh-huh.
egg and then poured the whites in. That's
Okay,
even worse.
well, yeah, I mean, this is, if you can find something with a little,
The spout.
it says
My spout,
spout.
I didn't have a
yes.
spout, so.
Yeah, that's the, I should have written that in the description, but. Okay. I'm letting it cook a little longer because I made it really, really thick. But usually it doesn't take, more than, I don't know, 1 minute on each side. Because if your oil is really hot, then, your egg is gonna cook thoroughly. And then if you put beef, your beef is already cooked, so.
All right, I flipped mine over. Mine ended up leaking out a lot.
Yeah, it has to be a pretty quick, movement. Once you pour the egg, you seal your arepa and,
Well,
right
Natalia
away.
said, maybe you missed it, but Natalia took a little leftover dough and glued the whole back together.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it wouldn't leak out.
I didn't have any leftovers.
Yeah.
Can you see the pan? Look at how it's really bubbling.
oh, did it go like everywhere, or most of the egg stayed inside the arepa?
I think most of it came out.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Because here is it cooked. See, look, it's got eggs around the edge.
Oh yeah, no, we want it to look more like this.
But it is-
Mine had cracked. That little pocket that I made, it had cracked, but
So like
I was
3/4 of it sealed, but like
Okay.
the top corner here and this corner here had eggs come out on mine. I sealed the
But-
top good. I can see my fingerprints there, but then I didn't seal here and here.
Okay. Yeah, we might have maybe not cooked it long enough the first time that we fried it, or we didn't wait long enough, to
Yeah.
to do it. I
Wow.
know when this happened, it's probably because I didn't wait long enough when it cracks like this. But I was able to still kind of keep the egg inside. So if I cut into it,
I think I might have enough for 4 people now. I got 2, 4, 6, 8. I got 10.
good,
No.
I'm looking for.
Only one with eggs. Or one half full of eggs.
So I just went to Colombia for the holidays, and we went out and ate some arepa con huevo on the street. And my husband really liked this ají picante, which is basically some chili, hot pepper salsa. So I had to bring some of it. So if you have like,
Sriracha.
Louisiana sauce or Cholula or
Sriracha.
sriracha, you name it. Not like
This right here is a North Carolina company made in Costa Rica. Elijah's
North Carolina.
handcrafted roasted pepper hot sauce. And I just read the back and it says, manufactured for this company in North Carolina, made in Costa Rica.
They probably ship it in great big barrels and then they bottle it in the US.
It's just like, but that's funny. All right.
So
I love
definitely.
different hot
I
sauces.
definitely cooked it longer because my egg, it's not completely cooked. So I definitely needed another minute or so. My mom is laughing. You see her? She's making fun of my
Aw.
arepa huevo.
That's one of those things that
Okay.
you
She's
you
going the
developed
whole neighborhood. She's like,
that's
"Look at
one
her."
of that's one of those things you learn as you go along, like how long does it take to get that egg cooked?
Look
after
at
you
she's
do
like, nodding her head.
Yeah.
So
Like
is
Gary.
normally, is the yolk normally hard cooked?
Yes, yes. Definitely,
Mom
but
is saying, I didn't teach her that way.
yes. It's like,
Yeah,
look at her.
I
She's
like- That would be perfect for me because I love runny yolks.
Me too.
I was gonna say, yeah, I mean, I like it too. When I fry an egg, I want the yolk to be runny. So, oh, look at those perfect ones, Suzanne.
These, oh my God, I only made a half a batch because I wanted to try out everything. And I think I'm gonna have to make a lot more because these are so good,
But again, like she said, make them and freeze them. You don't have to cook them all now.
right?
Suzanne's one of our top cooks also. She really knows what she's
Yeah.
doing.
No,
The
Lulu's the best.
Yeah.
the
Ah.
sweet ones, I will definitely not freeze because you deep fry them. I would be scared of, throw them frozen in the hot.
Right,
In the oil, yeah.
yeah.
But the
That's
other
true.
ones,
I hadn't thought about that. You shouldn't throw the frozen ones in the hot oil. Yeah. So
so yeah. So I just basically put some of this hot.
Does
So
anybody
funny.
ever cheat and put a frozen one like in the microwave?
Well, we usually it
Wouldn't be very
would
crisp.
get too dry. Yeah, it would get too
Well, it
dry.
wouldn't be crisp.
Yeah. So I just put some Cholula on mine.
Making me
And
hungry.
I know that's the idea, right?
And I
Now
just
you have to
ate.
go- Now you have to go and make arepas.
all right, to wrap this up, do you have any final things to say? Anybody have any final questions? I have a pile of them made here. Anybody? All
I want
right.
to say thank you for inviting me. This was a lot of fun. At
Yeah.
first, I was kind of hesitant, like I'm not a good cook. I don't know what
You
to
did a great job. You did a great job.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Fred. Thank you.
Yeah, I tell people just pick something that you think is simple or you make regularly, and you'll be surprised that it teaches somebody else some new technique. I always learn something new. And I've grown up making, we call these corn cakes, but this is completely and totally a different way of making them than I grew up making.
Really cool.
We
Awesome.
tended to pat them out and boil them a lot of times, which is just, I don't know. It's acquired mushiness. And the different flavors and the different ways to
That
make
was not pre-cooked cornmeal either.
it. Yeah. So,
Oh, okay.
all right. Any final
All right.
questions, anybody?
No,
Thank you
just-
so much, Natalia. Muchísimas
thank you.
gracias.
Thank you. My pleasure.